My name is Glenn Awe. I am the owner of Junior's men's clothing shop in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been in retail in one form or another for as long as I can remember, like post paper route days. I used to work at like an electronics store in Buffalo, New York, where I'm from, and then that kind of transitioned into clothing, and I've been in men's clothing now for, I don't know, I stopped counting at 10 years. You know, you slowly, like unconsciously develop a sense of like what you like, and I very much became focused on suiting, which was also popular at that time. I mean, like, this is talking about like J. Crew liquor store and like all of these things of that era, and you know, like Alden shoes, and like, you know, this was early days of Sid Mashburn. When I was in Atlanta at that point, so I was working at my third shop. Once my time was kind of coming to an end in Atlanta, I don't know, I was at a crossroads in like what I wanted to do. Like, did I want to go to New York and work at another shop, but kind of be in the heart of it, right? Or did I want to start my own thing, which was terrifying to start your own thing. But my wife and I settled on Philadelphia, and it was like, yeah, I'll start my own thing. And it was the worst time because it was February of 2020. When I started Juniors in essentially February or March of 2020, the plan was to never have the shop from the beginning. Like, I was slowly gonna roll it out, you know, doing made to measure, and I had the ready to wear through the web shop. I never had a retail space until 2022, so this is 2 years post starting Juniors. It was the ultimate dream come true part of it. It always felt real, and it was real, but like having the shop and then coming to the shop every day is so real. Like, to have a shop in, you know, a major US metropolitan city. I mean, we're blocks from City Hall in Philadelphia, and it really is like a dream come true. Everything in the shop is something that I would personally wear or love to wear, or so it comes organically from me in that sense, and the house style is just a subset of that. Summer ideas and summer favorites. This is 100% linen, actually, from a French linen merchant, Maison Bar. This is fresco. I always keep this out because it's just great to show the dryness and the creaminess in the open weave of fresco. But yeah, I do just fun things like this, like, you know, weave stripes. Like, it's just fun to think about what's possible. Most people, you know, navy suit and navy blazer is always the most popular, but these are fun things to see and kind of spark ideas. So, it's seersucker. Seersucker too often gets thought of it in this way, whereas today, I mean, I'm wearing the solid navy, which is a more, maybe more elegant way to wear seersucker. There's also no substitute for like being able to come into the shop and like, one, try things on, touch and feel things, especially when we're talking about made to measure clothing. Like, you have to be able to see the swatch in person and feel it and compare it to other swatches. It's even those nuances that you would never think about, like, you know, is one shoulder drop versus the other, and like, but by how much is the difference, and you know, where do you carry your weight? Do you have a prominent chest? I mean, all of these things are factors that, like, by measuring online, you just would never get that eye from someone who knows what to look for. That was one of the big draws about moving to Philadelphia, was just this like old, weathered Northeast city. Like, it has so much character, the buildings have so much character, and it's old, and I mean, I love that. Starting Juniors here, it was such a major shock to me, but also I was very puzzled and like surprised that there was no like classic style men's clothing store here. To get an Oxford cloth button down in this city, I don't want to say it wasn't doable, because there's places here that you can do it, but to do it in the way, through the Juniors lens, which is pure and classic, it's made in the US, this is heavyweight Cambridge Oxford cloth, like, you know, the charismatic collar roll, like, to get a Shetland sweater that's made in Scotland, like, those things were missing from Philadelphia, and that was surprising to me, but I was also so glad to help fill that void, and I get that feedback from a lot of my clients, which is also, I mean, that's the most rewarding thing, is that like people were here and they wanted that, but it wasn't necessarily here
What do you hear about your approach to quality and manufacturing?
Yeah, this was ingrained in me early on from working at O'Connell's. So, I mean, O'Connell's is, to me, probably the best traditional store in the country. And everything they do is done in what I would say is the right way, and what they would also say, I would assume, is the right way. And to me, that easily, one that stuck with me throughout my career. You know, things made from the source and where you would expect them to be made from, and that's how I approach everything in Juniors. Is that everything in the shop is made in the U.S., Canada, the UK, Italy, the European Union as a whole. But those things that have kind of the names attached to them, a Scottish Shetland sweater, to me isn't a Scottish Shetland sweater unless it's made in Scotland. Irish fisherman knits have to be made in Ireland, and that's the way I source those things. Oxford cloth shirts, which are synonymous with American style, should be made in America. And that's the way I approach things and source those things. Knitwear that's made in Italy, you know, regimental striped neckwear that are true English regiments made in the UK. All of that is done very consciously. Alden shoes, Sanders shoes, everything in the shop comes from the source.
And I'm sure that comes with maybe a higher price tag. You know, how do you deal with the customer who's like, you know, that's great. I don't really care about the origin story of this Shetland sweater. I want it to be $50 less.
Yeah, I think that most people who are coming in here are seeking that out. I mean, I definitely have clients that come in and want a Shetland sweater because it's made in Scotland, or they want an Oxford cloth button down because it's made in America. To get things made that way is not inexpensive, but this can also tie into the retail aspect of it, is that those customers, once they're educated on it, it still not might be for them, but at least they're aware of it and they know that it exists. And maybe in their own journey, eventually they get to the point where they're like, now I understand why that is priced the way it is, and I want to try it out. And you will ultimately see the quality difference over time, whether it's from a polo shirt all the way up to tailored clothing. Yeah. This is my business, but it's also, I mean, it's something I love. Like, I love to get dressed, and whether it's casually or tailored. I have kind of navigated through, different styles of tailoring, I would say, is one part. I've always come back to American tailoring. I just find it the most comfortable for me, and which is why it goes hand in hand with the shop. But for me, it's always been most comfortable. I've worn other tailoring styles, and it never felt like me. You develop your own little trademarks of your own style, and I tell guys all the time too, when we're going into tailored clothing or building a wardrobe, you're going to make mistakes. I mean, I still make mistakes, but that's part of the journey. That's how you learn and get it more perfect with each purchase, and eventually you get to this point where your batting average is really high. American tailoring, again, it goes hand in hand with what I think the style of the shop is, and in my education through men's clothing, which was always natural, soft shoulder, which is, again, synonymous with American style. I mean, we're talking about like Brooks Brothers from years ago, and years ago, I'm talking about 60s, right? At the end of the day, I think that's what people are looking for sometimes in their clothing, is comfort, and I think American tailoring does a lot of that. And pairing it then with English cloth, to me, kind of creates this ultimate garment, and really ends up being what Juniors is specifically. English cloth, to me, is, so we talk about things lasting and becoming better with age. To me, nothing does that better than English cloth. I mean, it just breaks in beautifully. You can take a beating, matte finish. We're talking about suiting cloth, so no shine. I just love mashing all of those things together to create like what the Juniors garment is. That's part of it too, is like this becomes more than just a shop. It's like clients become friends, and you know, we know each other's families, and like that is just an experience that you would never get rarely at another type of store other than like a small business. And yeah, that's what makes it too. It's not like I get to come here and do something that I love every day. The majority of the time it's with people that I love working with. That's just so special and unique, and something that I'm always thankful for.